social distance like a motherfucker. I'm out here and I don't know where the hell I am, Oregon, like right along the Nevada border. And I just want to kind of talk about, well, you guessed it, masks and social distancing and chaos that has filled the world. You see, I've been getting a lot of comments. You know, I'm trying to fast from the media as much as possible. I'm finding that to be more difficult than previously thought because people, I get it in the comments, I get direct messages, I get emails, have you heard about this? So even though I don't actively seek the information out on my non-media days, I still get plenty of it, and quite frankly, the only time I really get a break from it, because I watch a lot of YouTubers that, while they aren't specifically, talking about that, they're talking about these issues which face all of us. And I'm finding there's been a growing amount of anxiety. Like I've had people in the comments tell me that they're thinking of joining a militia. I know people who are going on long backpacking trips. An online friend of mine is preparing to go on a backpacking trip specifically to get out of this bullshit. And, and as you know, I'm a nomad because I also am trying to escape the bullshit. And I get good, like right now, I got a nice break. No one gives a fuck about me out here. I have everything I need on the truck right now. I could actually stay here if I wanted. Fortunately, I got work to do, and I'm going to California, which is back into mask zombie land. But I kind of wanted to share an experience for those, I know some of you just strongly disagree with me about the mask bullshit, and that's fine. You do you. I'll do me. We won't ever do each other. It's all good. It's just, I'm living my life. Nothing I'm doing out here is hurting anybody. My exposure to people is actually pretty minimal. I spend a great deal of time inside the box that is my truck, inside, away from people. And intentionally in the past, because I've been on the West Coast for over a week and a half now. And I get tired. I get tired of being triggered all the time, seeing so many people that aren't questioning things, they're happy to comply, or they're scared so they comply of either the virus or the government, which apparently will, throw you in jail and give you fines and shit if you don't comply. Still, it's an unpoliceable mandate, but at the end of the day, I don't like being in places where that's even a thing. So I try to minimize my exposure by not shopping when I'm in those areas or not doing things or whatever. Well, yesterday, I kind of went against that. I instead of cooking, I decided I wanted to go into the truck stop and get some chicken. You know, so I did that. And it was a Love's. And it was in Oregon. And I encountered mask zombies. That's what I call people who just blindly fucking stumble around without doing any fucking research whatsoever, who are doing it probably more out of political reasons or fear of breaking the law than anything else. And they get angry if you are not also complying. And so I go into this Love's. First thing I encounter is another person. I don't know if they were a truck driver or not. They asked me as I approached the Love's, "Do you have your mask?" And I was like, "Yep." And I just kept walking. I didn't even slow down. And I was like, "Yep." I didn't put the mask on. I just kept going. And then I get inside and they got a greeter. You know, gives you a warm fuzzy about spending your fucking money in there. And I really wanted chicken, so when I went in, they greeted me with, "Do you have a mask? Could you please put your mask on? We're asking everybody to put their masks on." And, you know, and I was like, I rolled my eyes and I put the fucking mask on, which is what I said. That's my policy, by the way. If I'm going into a private business and they're asking me to put the fucking mask on, if I want something from that business, I put the mask on. You know, it's part of the deal. They're allowed to as a private business. Now, will I stop at that same truck stop again? No, I will plan it out. You know, if I am going through that part of Oregon again, I'm going to remember that Love's is a piece of shit. You want to know why I'm going to remember it? Because 2 miles down the road was a fuel stop for me, and that was the Pilot. And I was like, you know what? Is the entire state of Oregon a piece of shit? And I had to know. So I decided to go into the Pilot. No mask. I'd say it's about 60-40 in terms of mask wearers in there. 60% of people wearing masks, 40% not. All employees, of course. And I went in and washed my hands in the bathroom. Nobody said nothing. I think I did get one dirty look from a person. But they didn't say anything. They were unconfrontational about it. And, you know, I went and bought some of those keto cookies that you can get, the Quest ones that are like 4 grams net carbs, because I ran out of those. So I grabbed a couple of those and, you know, just to have them because I'm out. It's one of my ways of sticking with this diet, even though it's not the healthiest. And I went up to the counter, paid for it. They were polite. They didn't say a fucking word about the fact I didn't have my mask on. So, you know, I know some people are really panicked about this, and they're really, you know, they're talking about freedom is gone and we're all fucked, and the market's going to decide. This is an unenforceable law for the same reason that people speed. People speed constantly out here on the roads. That's been a law since I was born. There's been speed limits. Every once in a while, you're going to get nailed, you know, if you're speeding. I personally can't speed. My truck is governed, you know. Well, I can speed, but in like doing 55 and a 45 or 35 or something like that. But in terms of on the general highway, I'm probably not fucking speeding and shit. So, you know, that's the same thing with masks. It's almost unenforceable. You know, when you think about what's been going on with police lately and their lack of enforcement for, I don't know, say shootings, I'm thinking they're a little too busy right now to enforce fucking masks, all right? And I've heard some municipalities, including one in New York, came out, you know, some county executives in New York, as the governor continues to fuck over small businesses there, has come out and basically stated that this is an unenforceable mandate, you know, for some of this, particularly with the thou shalt order food with thine beer as dictated by Emperor Cuomo. You know, which is a kind of a tongue-in-cheek way of saying, don't worry, we're not going to come for you. You know, because at the end of the day, Cuomo can't police the whole state. He requires the county executives and the local municipalities to do it. And, you know, recently, Walmart, Starbucks, and a couple of other large companies have said, thou shalt wear masks when you shop here. Which is fine. You know, it's all up to you. But at every opportunity possible, I'm going to avoid going into your store, especially Best Buy. Fuck you, Best Buy. You were fucked up with the lockdown, let alone fucking masks. I'm not spending my money in your place. That's your decision. You want to alienate half your customers? Because in my opinion, it is, based on what I've seen, about 50-50 split on the mask thing. You know, some states are very, you know, definitely worse with it, but even California, I was starting to notice a whole lot of civil disobedience going on in terms of masks. But the media is campaigning hard on this mask issue. You see a whole bunch of different fucking headlines of people basically campaigning in the media, and they've been doing it the whole time. People have forgot that whole story where CNN had the reporter out there wearing the mask on camera. Meanwhile, his whole crew didn't have a mask, and he was out there browbeating everyone around who wasn't wearing masks. Did we forget that story? That the media can't be trusted with this shit? Just today, a story has come out of Florida where a guy in his 20s died in a motorcycle accident, died because of a motorcycle accident, tested positive for COVID, got thrown into the death count of COVID. You can find that on Fox News. I had to click that one. I had to. When it popped up, I'm like, oh my God, the media is actually questioning things for a change. And granted, it's Fox News, so, you know, they're biased the other way, obviously. But the fact remains that in Florida, a 20-something-year-old motherfucker got in a motorcycle accident, died, and was counted as a COVID death. That removes trust in the numbers. Do you understand that? If that's just what we caught, imagine all the motherfuckers that we didn't catch. Why? Because there's a financial incentive for the hospitals to label a death as COVID. So, and now that we've seen that death disparity as an opposition to the mask control, we're going to go ahead and start fucking with the fucking death counts, you know? And it's all political at this point. And it's not about the actual science behind masks. Because if you dig and look at history of masks, of which there's an extensive fucking history, you know, for the too long didn't watch crowd back in the fucking Spanish flu, we had mask mandates all over the place. People wore masks everywhere. Not just because it was mandated, but because that virus was killing all kinds of motherfuckers. Comparatively speaking, the Spanish flu, COVID doesn't even hold a candle to it. They wore their masks, not because somebody told them to, but because they didn't want to fucking die. And lo and behold, it didn't work. It didn't stop the Spanish flu. Not to mention, we didn't go on wearing masks, and the flu didn't go anywhere. The same thing's happening with COVID, which is markedly less dangerous than the Spanish flu. You know, they came out with these massive, horrible projections in the beginning that caused these lockdowns and these mandates and these power-hungry governors to seize on the moment because they're trying to really fuck with the election. But at the end of the day, when you look at the facts, instead of the feelings of it, it boils down to that masks don't fucking work. When you read the box, it tells you will not prevent the spread of a virus. And even if they help 10% of the population, when you apply that 10% to a 0.04% death rate, it's not worth mandating masks. Honestly, for everyone fucking shaming people for wearing masks, if you really cared, you would stay home. Stay away. The only 100% proven way to prevent the spread of the virus is to lock down and don't go out. Period. If you have someone vulnerable, if you're vulnerable, that is your only option, because that little fucking mask is not going to save your life. We had masks the entire fucking lockdown period in New York, and we saw that mountain climb anyway. It skyrocketed. Deaths, still, New York has yet to be unseated in the number of cases and deaths, except maybe by Jersey, which is pretty much a suburb of New York. So, you know, and I'm sorry if you're from Jersey, but that's how I view that a lot of people in New York City especially view New Jersey. It's in a suburb of Philly, if you think about it. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. But that's really, you know, neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is, the masks mandates are not in compliance with the Constitution. Lawyers are disputing that by saying that it's a public health crisis. Define public health crisis, because right now the death rate is lower than the flu per capita, you know, and they're also fucking with the data that your government is inefficiently, incoherently making these decisions based on, and we have proof, even as today's story ran, of people fucking with the data. And I've been screaming about that since New York hit 22,000 deaths way back when. I think we're at 36,000 deaths in New York. Still a lot of COVID deaths considering fucking Cuomo has it under control, right? All right, rant over there. I want to get back to how you can deal efficiently with this without, I mean, anybody, you know, who's looking around at the way things are right now has got a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of misery going forward, in that our lives are changed. You know, can we get back to the way things were in 2019? Which, by the way, a lot of people were bitching in 2019 that 2019 sucked. And I was probably among them, you know, thinking about all that happened in 2019. Doesn't hold a candle to this year. And a lot of these things that we're seeing are not going anywhere. You know, some speculate that we'll be out of this mess after November elections. I don't see it being that cut and dry. There's a lot of people who apparently do not respect the results of our democracy, one way or the other. You know, whether you're a lefty, you're not going to respect the results if Trump gets reelected. If you're a righty and Trump gets kicked out of office, you're also not going to be too happy about the elections. And it used to be that sometimes you got what you want with the voting and sometimes you didn't. And as a matter of fact, now we're in a time where people will not accept democracy as the solution unless they agree with how the vote turns out. And that is the sign that things probably will never get back to complete normal. But I will say, as I still get into these states that are fucked up and locked down and have shitty policies, there's still a good proportion of the population that just wants to be left alone. They want to live their lives. They don't give a fuck what you're doing as long as you aren't affecting what they're doing. It's only on the internet that people seem very confrontational about this. I've had all of 3 confrontations this entire pandemic that I've been out here traveling in the States. And, you know, nothing really came of it. You know, I had a trucker tell me I was a piece of shit along with 6 other non-mask wearing motherfuckers who were in line. Yesterday I had that other driver, I assume he was a driver, ask me if I had a mask, and I was like, yep, and I just kept walking. You know, he didn't chase me down, he didn't do any of that. You know, he probably was bitching. He probably went on social media to bitch about it. You know, that's what people do. They get pissed off in life, and rather than dealing with it in person, they go online and hide behind the keyboard to do shit. And that's what you're seeing. You know, a lot of people are looking at all of this through the lens of social media and really not taking into account the way it is out here in the real world. That's one of the reasons I'm off Facebook. I was trying to share that perspective on there, and all I got was toxicity for it. It's really up to you to open your eyes to that shit. If you're just constantly bombarded with that information, it may even lead you to make poor decisions on your life based on that information. Things are not going to be pretty for the next probably year or 2 or 3 because of this incoherent stupidity and how we dealt with the virus. And now we're going to probably have secondary lockdowns, which will destroy several businesses. Jobs will fail. You know, the government can't send you free money forever. So that's going to end soon. And when that ends, things are going to get rough. And I can tell you from a truck driver perspective, I've only been hauling groceries. I have not been hauling a lot of consumer goods. People are holding on to their money right now, as well they should. And I understand it. You know, food is a necessity. So obviously I'm always going to have work hauling food around. But there'll be times when freight slows down and I don't get a load, you know, and I've seen it. I've been pretty busy though, hauling groceries. You know, they've definitely kept me employed. So I'm accruing a nice little pile of money. And if the shit hits the fan, I can jump in that Prius, go out to some BLM shit or some place where I can not get stuck in the Prius. Or I could even stealth camp in a fairly open town and survive it on just the money I've saved, plus the little bit of scraps I get from content creation. And who knows, you know, maybe that'll come down to that if trucking becomes untenable at any point. But for now, I'm just going to keep on trucking. I'm going to keep on going down the road, and I'm going to stay the fuck away from these toxic areas of mask zombies. It's real easy to get an assessment of a state I go into. I look at the population that's shopping. I look at the population in the truck stops and in the restaurants I stop to, or any of these places, and I see how people are behaving and whether or not they really give a shit about masks or if they're just doing it because the boss says they have to wear masks. A lot of businesses are going to be that way. I'm sorry to say, if you work in the service industry or in any of these industries that regularly encounter people, you're likely to be mandated by your boss, who's mandated by the government, to wear a mask at all times. But I will say that I've seen plenty of businesses out here that people do not comply at work, and nothing gets said to them. It's just the way it is. They like, even yesterday in Oregon, I went to a business to pick up a food load, and 4 people in the office were wearing masks and 1 lady wasn't, and nobody said shit to her. People were adjusting their masks and playing with it and pulling it off their face and doing all of that. Some would only put the mask on to come to the window. There was a window between me and them, so I don't know what the hell that was all about. But don't lose all hope. I know it's hard right now, and I know some of you are extremely anxious and paranoid because of all of this. I've seen the comments. I see, especially my conspiracy theory crowd, of which I do have a significant amount of subscribers who are conspiracy minded. You know, I get those comments a lot too. Try and hold it together. You know, things are gonna suck for probably a good couple years. But I still have that bit of faith based on the people I encounter out here directly, that all of this will pass. We might not get back to full normal. I think the economy is going to take a pretty significant long-term hit because of our stupidity. But I still have faith that people want to live their lives and don't give a shit what you do with your life, as long as it doesn't directly affect them. That selfish tenet of most people, I believe, will save us from declining into complete fucking failure as a civilization. That being said, take steps to protect your life, your homestead, and all of that. You know, buy a little bit extra groceries, maybe some fucking survival shit. If you got place to store that. I'm a nomad, so I got to learn to live off the land if I ever get in a shit hits the fan situation. But I don't think the time for panic is here yet. Let's see how this plays out in November and make our decisions then. But don't spend all of this time stressed out, paranoid, and worrying. And you know, disconnect from the media as much as you can right now. You're not getting any useful information from them anyway. They just want to keep you scared, keep you clicking. So they're going to keep pointing out these things. They're spinning up again against the unrest, which has been going on the whole time, mind you. But now for political reasons, they're shining the light back on the protests, back on the whole fucking thing, just to keep you angry, spun up, and anxious about everything. You don't need to. Let me save you the next 2 weeks of news. People are protesting. There's clashes between federal troops and people protesting. People are getting COVID in alarming numbers. Not as many people are dying from it, and some of the ones that are miscounted. And it's all Trump's fault. There you go. There's your fucking news. You don't have to watch the news for a couple of weeks. Take a break. You're good to go. I guarantee you when you come back to the fucking media, there might be a few like individual developments within those narratives. You know, in the other narratives, wear the mask. Oh shit, people aren't wearing masks anyway, even though we've mandated it. So it's all their fault that everyone's fucking still locked down, and we're gonna lock people down because people aren't complying with the mask mandate. And yeah, these are all future narratives coming to a news fucking station near you. Enjoy, but you gotta at this point roll your eyes and be like, no, I walked out in my front yard and shit wasn't fucked up. You know, I went down to the store and yeah, they might have made me put a mask on, but at the end of the day, no one really gave a shit if I put it on or not. You know, it's your individual decision to wear a mask. Don't do it just because you're told to. If you believe in the masks, wear the masks. You know, do not try and force your opinion down other people's throats, because there's a lot of people in this country that are not ready to be told what to do by their fellow citizens, and definitely not by power-hungry, unilateral fucking legislation-making motherfucking governors who sucked before any of this, but now they suck with a modicum of granted power that they're never going to let go of, because after COVID, we'll be on to the next fucking bug, you know, and it's all horse shit. And if you can escape it in any way, I choose to be a nomad. I choose to get out to the states that aren't doing all of this stupid shit to people, who, by the way, are doing just fine, COVID-wise. South Dakota being one of them, obviously. And, you know, that number's shrunk a little. I will say that. I see maybe 4 states that have 0 mask mandates. The rest are kind of disjointed jumbles of localities that are fucked up with it. You know, it's going to be hard to navigate this in the future. And my decision, you know, especially after this observation in Oregon, where I went to one truck stop and it was like mask zombie land. And then the other truck stop was pretty much business as usual. Nobody fucked with me. Nobody tried to make me do anything I didn't want to do. And meanwhile, I didn't really affect anyone, you know? I'm not infected, clearly. You know, I would have been fucking nailed by now. By the 10,000 times I get my fucking temperature check. If anything, I'm asymptomatic, but I don't even fucking cough, which means I'm not expelling that shit. You know, and I don't hardly talk to people when I'm in these public places, so I'm not expelling the virus that way. I go in, I grab my shit, you know, and the only people I talk to are the people behind the counter who have the fucking shield in between me and them, and they're wearing a mask. So if my shit can get through the fucking plastic plexiglass in their fucking masks, then obviously masks aren't going to work, you know? And remember, if you're one of those people that's going to virtue signal me in the comments, that the only way to prevent the spread of the virus is to lock down. Stay home, stay away from people, and you won't spread the virus to anybody, and they won't spread it to you. It's a simple case of physics. That's it. 100% works. Quarantines work, people. Self-quarantine if you do not want to risk the virus. That's it. Plain and simple. Don't go to Walmart. Don't go to the fucking grocery store. Get your shit delivered. You know, do what you can to stay away from people until this is over with, which is going to be never, by the way, but still, you know, until you feel like you're being afraid and doing all of this stuff for nothing, so be it. You want to know why this virus is still here? Because we never fully locked down. The entire time Walmart's been open, Costco's have been open, and every motherfucker and their brother went into those places. When they didn't even have to. Like, I'd be in there and the motherfuckers would be in there, walking around shopping. They bring their whole fucking family to Walmart. I've seen it. The whole family is, you know, you got one guy pushing the cart, you got the kids running around touching and playing and everything, and you got the mom sitting there. They're all wearing fucking masks. But they're playing with everything, touching everything, you know, and lo and behold, the mountain still happened in New York with all of the draconian lockdowns and the mask laws. You know, masks have been harped on by Cuomo this entire time. And now, because we've lowered the death rate, which happened in all kinds of states, not just New York, and New York still has the highest death count of all the states. I think it's a race between New Jersey and New York, but New Jersey adopted the same bullshit New York did. They had a little governor's meeting in the Northeast, and turns out Cuomo won. You know, so Cuomo's not just the governor of New York, he's apparently the governor of the entire Northeast, based on the fucking laws that got passed and the restrictions that were put in place. Because, you know, people would just drive to another state if one lockdown was too extreme. So he had to have these other governors on board, but they all seemed to comply with him and get no concessions for themselves. So, Northeast is a piece of shit. But, you know, I still go there and I still notice little signs of hope even in New York. I went into a diner last time I was there and walked out of there without a mask on. No one said nothing. Did walk in with a mask. But once I realized the stupidity of you can take it off when you sit down, I was like, yeah, no. If you think 6 feet is enough fucking distance, you're delusional, all right? And you're supposed to do both, by the way. I see all the mask zombies stumbling through fucking Walmart, not respecting 6 feet at all. Zero. They'll walk right by you, they'll walk right up to you, they'll stand in line right next to you. So you have to do both. Last I checked, that was the recommendation. You know, the key word there, recommendations and shit. All right, I'm done ranting. Sorry if I lost another 50 subscribers, it's good. Maybe I can get back down to 1,000 sane people and not have to worry so much about the backlash. Until then, I'm just going to keep going away from fuckers when I'm stuck in lockdown states. This is a lockdown state. This is Oregon. I don't see anybody wearing a mask out there. I don't see any cops worrying about what I'm doing. I don't see any, Facebook activists. No, they're all busy tearing down statues and shit. So, we're good. Occasionally somebody drives by and they're like, hey, what's that guy pointing a camera at his face? But this is pretty much the only option to escape the stupidity at this point. So if you would like a break, even if you're not ready to be a nomad, doesn't mean you can't hop in the fucking car with some food, coolers, a backpack, tent, and get the fuck out here somewhere where there's no virus, no masks, no fucking virtue signaling, no people trying to tell you what to do, and there's plenty of room. Plenty of room. You want a social distance? Get the fuck out of those cities. Plain and simple. All right, I've ranted enough. It gets frustrating for me. And this is the only thing I can think of for me to deal with it. Just taking in the sound of nature for a little bit before the next car comes. It's only 80 degrees out here. I'm amazed. Otherwise, this video wouldn't have happened. Would have been in the truck with the AC running. As for me, I'm going back to California, Sacramento area, which I'll probably still be stuck in by the time you watch this. They seem to not want to get me out of the West Coast. I'm really sick of the West Coast. I really am. I don't like any of these lockdown states. I don't like the cities here. They're all being stupid. And I want to go back to where it's a little more reasonable. That's it. So until then, I'll be spending my time off in places like this. When I pull over for the night, I'm going to find some remote shit if I can. If it's an option. It's not always going to be an option, so, I might be stuck in the Sacramento area for another day or two. Because I get there tonight, and I don't have another load yet. But chances are they're going to give me a load that's in California. They tried to give me a load to Portland, Oregon, and I was like, nope, time for my break. And that's what I did, because I am not delivering to Portland right now. Sorry. Y'all can fucking fend for yourselves till you get your head out of your ass. So, and it worked. I got my 34-hour break in, and they ended up sending me to California. But I haven't heard any bullshit about Sacramento, so I think we're all right. But I'll be in a secure area when I go to Sacramento. All right, I'm gonna get back on the road. Please like and subscribe for more shit, and I'll make more shit. Sign up for my free email list if you want to be notified whenever I go on dlive or whenever I post an LBRY exclusive video, which the next video I film is going to be an LBRY exclusive video. So if you're not on LBRY, please head on over and click the invite link below if you can, and I get a little bit of crypto for that. And yeah, I'll be posting I'm going to try and do one video a week as an LBRY exclusive, because I don't want to abandon LBRY as a platform. I want to keep it there. I want to keep it fresh. I want to keep it, people going there by putting exclusives if I can. And the reason I want to do that is because I don't know about the future of YouTube. They did another round of bannings last week, and given the shit that I'm freely talking right now, even with this video, who knows when the ban hammer will fall on me. And I want to have a place to go, even though it might not have as many people on it, and it's still in its early days in terms of development. It's still my backup plan, as is dlive. Speaking of dlive, I did try to go live. The replays of this debauchery are still available as you watch this video on dlive, but my cell connection was shit in the town I was staying in last night, and it just wasn't enough bandwidth to do a live stream. So it was a complete fail. Some people found it hilarious. you know, the way I was dealing with it, but because I was frustrated as fuck. But yeah, I'm sorry that that live stream didn't work out. I will try and do another karaoke stream probably in a day or two after you see this video, if I'm in an area, and I will send out an email to the email list, giving you a bit of a heads up, probably an hour's notice, maybe a couple hours if I know I'm going to be somewhere a while, to let you know that I'm going live. So, all right, time to get back down the road. Have a nice motherfucking day and shit. And practice social distancing if you're worried about the virus. Don't tell me to wear a mask. Stay home, stay the fuck away from me. Stay away from me. It's that simple. Grandma, stay away from me. You got diabetes? Stay away from me. You know, you're worried about what I'm doing. Stay away from me. It's not that hard. I'm not all up in everyone's grill, all right? Fuck. Have a nice motherfucking day. And thanks for unsubbing for those of you. I love that I'm cleaning out all the people that can't handle my opinions that when they diverge from theirs. You know, 2 thumbs up there. Be sure and hit the thumbs down on the way out too.